On January 14, 1950, the MiG-17 Soviet jet fighter made its first flight, a plane that would go on to become the third most produced jet fighter in aviation history. With 11,060 built, only the MiG-15 and MiG-21 outnumbered it. A single-engine, high subsonic fighter, the MiG-17 was known by its NATO designation, Fresco. It was basically an upgraded MiG-15, simple, rugged, reliable, and packing a punch of two 23mm cannons and one 37mm cannon, heavier armament than the 6 50 caliber machine guns typically found on early U.S. jet fighters. Operational in 1952, the MiG-17 was built to intercept U.S. propeller-powered bombers like the B-29, B-50, B-36, and to exceed the performance of Korean War vintage U.S. fighter jets. Capable of Mach .98 or 711 miles per hour, the MiG-17 was not supersonic and therefore became obsolete as an interceptor with the advent of supersonic bombers. Introduced too late to fight in Korea, the MiG-17 first saw combat against Taiwanese F-86 Sabres in 1958. The MiG-17 made its reputation as an effective fighter over the skies of Vietnam, fighting against supersonic American jet fighters laden with bombs, thus rendered subsonic. Escorting American fighters had to remain subsonic to stay with the bomb-laden planes, making the apparently obsolete MiG-17 a viable contender in combat. U.S. rules requiring visual identification of enemy planes before launching missiles took away the long-range and medium-range missile technological advantage of the U.S. fighters, for by the time such visual ID was made, ranges were so short that dogfights became gun battles, with the MiG-17 well armed with cannon and the U.S. F-4 Phantom not even equipped with a gun. The much larger, faster, and more powerful F-4 struggled to dogfight the nimble little MiG-17, and U.S. losses were distressingly high. 3 North Vietnamese pilots became aerial aces flying the MiG-17, with 7, 6, and 6 kills of U.S. planes each. Despite 71 U.S. aircraft claimed as destroyed by MiG-17s from 1965 to 1972, the U.S. acknowledges 28 U.S. planes lost to the obsolete fighter. Some MiG-17s flown in combat against American planes were piloted by Chinese. These battles led to a revised U.S. fighter jet philosophy that any fighter has to have an effective gun. The MiG-17 was also equipped with short-range air-to-air missiles and can be used as a fighter bomber armed with 2 250-kilogram bombs. When loaded with drop tanks, the MiG-17 had a range of 1,100 miles. Used by the Soviet Union and most communist bloc countries during the Cold War, the MiG-17 also found extensive use in third world countries, and some may be in limited use today. This jet just plain old worked, and worked well. Nothing fancy and not pretty, but one of history's great fighter planes. As a question for my students, where would you place it in the pantheon of great fighter planes? If you liked this video and would like to receive notification of new videos, please feel welcome to subscribe to History and Headlines. Your viewership is much appreciated.